ongoing Office of Community Engagement and Partnerships conversation series. I'm here with Elizabeth Dunn, who is one of our wonderful faculty members. We turn to you for so many things. You are a great participant in all of our events, and we really appreciate it. And she received a service learning mini grant last year, which was really useful to her in being able to develop her service learning course. And she also has been awarded a Human Rights Award for Tampa Bay, which we are so proud of you for. So I wanted to talk to you a bit about that.
Thank you, Bonnie, for having me come speak to you.
You're welcome.
It's great to be part of OCEP and to learn more about how I can incorporate my classes into service learning and being part of y'all's team. So
it's been so great to see you develop and do so much more with your students, and I'm so happy that you were recognized for all you've done in terms of human rights. So can you tell us a bit more about how this award came about?
Okay. So for the past year and a half, I actually transitioned a lot of my classes that had a really strong focus in community participation and community engagement, and trying to really instill that into our students. However, even though some of the students were getting involved in the community, it wasn't more of a service learning kind of concept. So when I found out about some of the work that you guys do and what you guys encourage faculty to do with their courses, I really wanted to be part of that. So I actually applied for the mini grant, and I worked with your office and looking at how I can restructure my class in a way that each of the students will be impacted by that service learning component. So it was really interesting. I partnered with 13 different organizations or agencies throughout the Tampa Bay area. And from there, I actually was really involved with a lot of projects beyond just the service learning concept, so that I can have things lined up in the future for other opportunities for the students. So with that being said, a lot of the organizations were very excited about our involvement, getting involved with the students, being part of USF. That the Tampa Bay Refugee Task Force, which was one of our partners with working with refugees, actually nominated me for the Human Rights Award. So I was caught off guard. I really didn't expect it, but after hearing about some of the things that they appreciated and many of the community partners appreciated that I got involved with, that the students got involved with, then I came to realize, maybe why they nominated me. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that we did the service learning component, and being able to have the students be part of, the community, really. So.
I bet if all the other organizations also had awards, then they would nominate you as well.
And I actually have, from two of the service learning courses that I've taught, I actually have 4 different leaders from the community that are going to be in attendance when I receive the award. So even though the Tampa Bay Refugee Task Force nominated me, I actually have quite a few other partners that wanted to be part of that celebration and part of that day. So, and to show their support and appreciation for, the work that I have done with the students in the community. So it was very empowering and great to know that they appreciated all the hard work that the students and that myself have been involved with in these projects. So,
well, you are a great exemplary instructor, because what you do is university community partnerships, and you make sure that it's mutually beneficial.
Yes.
And I think that that's demonstrated by them nominating you for this award. So for so many years, community groups felt as though people were coming in from the university, doing some research, and heading out. But you have shown how you can have an ongoing partnership with a variety of different organizations and have your students work on projects semester after semester and have them carry over.
Yes. And a lot of those projects end up being projects they have wanted to do, or they are in the process of doing, and they don't have the financial ability to hire on new staff, or they want to take on volunteers, but maybe they don't have enough staff currently on the payroll that can manage those volunteers. So I think it's been really beneficial that it gives the students something to work on with a community partner, get to see what they're doing out in the community, and be part of that process. And then at the same time, I'm able to help facilitate that component and kind of work with the students in making sure that they get a lot out of their service learning project.
One thing that I think is really interesting and exciting about what you're doing is that on the one hand, you are creating very socially conscious students because they're having this exposure. And then on the other hand, you also have a lot of students who get jobs
Yes.
as a result of that.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's important to learn how to take care of others and also how to take care of yourself. So I think that that's what's been really interesting for you to report back to me on all of what's been happening with your students. So can you tell a bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think what happens is the community work, a lot of our community partners work with very vulnerable populations. They work with refugees. They work with victims of human trafficking. They work with in communities that need an educational component to emergency preparedness or other aspects that kind of tie in with homeland security and emergency management and humanitarian relief. So what ends up happening is when they're doing their service learning activities, they're engaging with a lot of these actors out in the community. They're seeing how our students work in a situation and how they interact with populations. And then when it comes down to hiring or needing somebody to fill a position, then usually they go to those individuals that have already been working in that community. So when those nominations come out and the applications come in, they recognize some of these individuals and the work that they've done in the past and their dedication to working with these diverse populations. So I think it gives them a kind of a leg up in the process. So.
And what's some of the special training that the students need to be able to work with vulnerable populations? As you say, we're really in a climate that I really wanted to talk to you about as refugees are coming to our country. So can you talk a bit more about what makes some of these students so special in the way that they interact?
Okay, so a lot of our students are public health students, so they want to engage and work within the community. They want to work with like prevention, work on educational components, or working with providing services to these individuals. So what ends up happening is a lot of times they're learning about this in the classroom setting, but they're very eager to now take that out into the community and see how it works in reality. So a lot of times this actually gives them that chance to actually practice public health in the community. I think that gives them that excitement, that like flame to kind of move forward and really kind of instills that they are passionate about this field of work. We also have a lot of individuals that have a strong passion for working with human rights, human rights in general, but also specifically working with populations that have been trafficked due to labor trafficking or human trafficking. So they're going out there and they're educating the community about some of these issues and how to take training and be able to take that training and translate it into education for our community. How do you identify somebody that could be a potential victim of human trafficking? How do you notify someone if you suspect something? A lot of healthcare providers are needing that component of education if anybody comes into the hospital system. So a lot of our students have worked on projects where they're doing that component. Some of our students have worked in the refugee gardens. How do you look at how to improve the gardens so that they're incorporating and giving some of our refugee populations something to do, something dynamic, to be part of that community discussion. So with that development, one of our students is looking at ways that they can engage and involve some more USF students to help with the garden. Or, we have another student that started really looking into, she had a love for animals, and one of the major issues in a disaster is evacuating. If you have a pet and you don't have a plan to evacuate with your pet, a lot of people will not leave their homes. So what we saw in Hurricane Katrina, was a lot of people did not evacuate, and it cost them their lives. Furthermore, whenever the first responders are going out there, there's security and safety issues that they face with trying to, target some of these animals and connect them back with their families. So we have a wide range of topic areas, and the students really take what they're passionate about and then see how they can translate that into service, or better equipping the population in our community to make sure that they're prepared for all these different aspects.
I think that it frustrates me so much when I hear people say that students are apathetic, because the students I meet and the students you meet are so interested in being engaged in the community.
Definitely.
And there's so many more interesting career options for students who really want to help.
Oh, definitely. I actually was a little nervous, transitioning my class into a service learning class, having them do 20 hours a semester out in the community at least. I was worried, would they be able to get out there and do it? Are some of our students working full time, and that's not something that they can do? So I was very nervous. And then, we had 35 students the first time I did a service learning class, and every single one of them were engaged with the project. They were eager to be part of it. They figured out a way to work it into their work schedules if there was an issue. I didn't have one single student complain about their service learning activity. So it really proved to me and showed me that these students do want to have an opportunity to get out there, and they do have the drive to be part of something beyond just their basic work and school schedule.
So a lot of us are watching the news right now, and like we talked about, that you see something happening and you want to get involved, and it's very difficult to get involved at the international level in some of what's happening, but there's ways that students can get involved here locally. So can you talk more about the refugee experience and how we can make sure that people better understand why refugees are coming here and the process they go through, and how difficult it is to see some of the things happening at the national level?
Yeah. So that's actually a really good question. I think what ends up happening is a lot of our students and a lot of community members want to know what's happening on a global scale and how does that impact us. So for our students, a lot of them have reached out to me, or a lot of them have gotten involved with a lot of the events that have specifically focused on immigrant and refugee populations. Recently in September, we hosted a Welcoming Week event here at USF, where we had a fashion show with different refugees from the community came out, and they showed their cultural fashion, So we ended up having over 90 USF students volunteer for the event. That was really inspiring, and it really showed that our students here at USF are engaged or and really interested in being part of this experience. That being said, working overseas and going globally to make that impact is very difficult. It's hard to get involved with those organizations that are on the ground while they're still in school. So how do you do that? By working on the local level, you can actually be part of that community. So Tampa Bay in the past 2 years have taken on over 11,000 refugees here in Hillsborough County and Pinellas County alone. All these individuals come over to the United States and are invited. So they put in their application. It takes 18 to 24 months to go through all the rigorous security components before they're ever extended an invitation to come here to the U.S. From there, they're resettled in many different cities throughout the United States based on the capacity of that community. And then what ends up happening is we have so many different great organizations here in the Tampa Bay area that help fill in the gaps and help them through that process. So making sure that they know exactly how to go and shop at the grocery store, or how to access health care or mental health services, or have their immunizations, or find a job. What does it look like going into a bank and opening up a checking account? All those little things that you may not think of that you've learned over the years being here in the United States. These are challenges that they face coming to a new country. Learning language even. Not all of them know English. So with that being said, we have over 40 organizations that are part of the Tampa Bay Refugee Task Force that work together very collaboratively and make sure that all the refugees that come through Hillsborough County, that come through Pinellas County, have access to these services and are taken care of and part of the community. So recently we actually were the first county to become a welcoming county.
Wow.
In the state of Florida. So all over the United States they have welcoming cities, they have welcoming counties, and we were the very first here in the state of Florida. So that was really encouraging to show that all these different dynamic service providers are actually making sure that, this population is, welcomed, that they are getting everything they need so that they can be successful citizens in that process of becoming citizens. So.
And USF has so much to offer in terms of all of the interdisciplinary courses and faculty and students who can help the refugees in this process.
It's been such a dynamic, learning process to see where their needs are in the community, and then how can we fill those needs. So even just hosting, for example, recently we hosted a women's group that were from Somalia and from different parts of Africa, and teaching them about babies and motherhood and all the different aspects of health, maternal and child health. And one of the main concerns was having translators, so that they can ask questions and feel comfortable in speaking in their language and learning in their language what was being taught to them. So a lot of our USF students volunteered their time, came in and did one-on-one translations with the women. They were able to feel comfortable and meet, some of our students that want to be part of, that process. So it was really interesting to see the bond between, the refugee and the translator or the USF student, and knowing that this is something that they enjoy being part of, that they really appreciate having that impact on somebody, and being able to answer questions that they might have. So.
And just in conclusion, what are some of the things that we need to be thinking about when we see a news story that's sort of targeting refugees and saying they shouldn't be coming here? Are there things that you could advise for us to think about, and we can be ambassadors here from USF because we have information that we can share about, no, that's not true. And what could you tell us about that?
I think I would have to say that, our country is founded on diversity. Tampa is a very diverse community, and making sure that we welcome all individuals is, really empowering. So it gives them an opportunity to integrate, to be part of this society, and not have any animosity against different community members. Making sure that they're feeling welcomed because they've already gone through so much back home. It's not as if they haven't been through a lot and then they just, decide to come here. A lot of them aren't just migrants looking for jobs. They're actually fleeing persecution. They're being targeted by their government, for their religious, or discriminated against because of their background. So what ends up happening is when they come here, we need to be, very welcoming, and that'll help with that, process of integration and resettlement.
I think we have this really strong opportunity to provide this sort of evidence-based assessment of what's actually happening, and it's sort of our duty to be able to share that when we hear things that just aren't true. So I think it's really important for you to come and share this message with us, and that we can distribute this and have more people gain a better understanding of the ways that they can plug in when they see an injustice. So we really appreciate you.
And I think when you see stories on social media or in the news, it's good to do a little more research to find out your facts. Understand the situation as a whole and think about the issues at hand.
Well, we're so happy that you've connected with our office and you've been such a great partner to us for such a long period of time, and we're going to continue to work with you. It's great to have someone like you on the front lines that you can share all of this with our audience. So thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that I've been here and been able to talk about what we do in the College of Public Health, and specifically in global disaster management, humanitarian relief, and then homeland security. So even though we focus a lot on global issues and on what's going on overseas, the United States and what's happening locally is a huge part of what we want to encourage our students to be part of. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.